paragraph. Here are thousands of men and women, worldly indeed. They flatly declare that since they have come to believe in a power greater than themselves, to take a certain attitude toward that power, and to do certain simple things, there's been a revolutionary change in their way of living and thinking. In the face of collapse and despair, in the face of the total failure of their human resources, they found that a new power, peace, happiness, and sense of direction flowed into them. This happened soon after they wholeheartedly met a few simple requirements. Once confused and baffled by the seeming futility of existence, they show the underlying reasons why they were making a heavy going of life. Leaving aside the drink question, they tell why living was so unsatisfactory. They show how the change came over them. When many hundreds of people are able to say that the consciousness of the presence of God is today the most important fact of their lives, they present a powerful reason why one should have faith. Over to you, Paul.
Thanks, Kurt.
Yep.
Paul, alcoholic and the non-haver of past events. Yes. Yeah. It's just, what can you do with this? So it's just the way of life that they're trying to describe, or the design for living. Yeah. Step two sort of encompasses, they flatly declare that since they have come to believe in a power greater than ourselves. So there you go, that's step two. And then they go into the certain attitude toward that power, which is surrender, let's say. And some revolutionary changes in their way of living and thinking, and continually changes in their way of living and thinking. It's not like it's a past event, such as in my life, but it's an activity going on now. In the face of collapse and despair, in the face of the total failure of their human resources, what would that be? Intellect, reason, will, yeah, a moral code, promises, yeah. But the thing is, there wasn't a seeing of their innate powerlessness, in a way, being occupied, let's say, by the parasite of alcoholism. So the parasite of alcoholism had neutralized and actually changed those human faculties to support its story. Yeah. So the parasite was using your faculties to promote its agenda. Yeah. And how it saw things. Yeah. And we were powerless against that because we couldn't see it as other. We didn't recognize what was going on. How are you going to change anything that you don't even know is available to be changed? Yeah, we just have to sort of bite the bullet and live the best we can and adapt to this unadaptable condition of, you know. So in the face of collapse and despair, in the face of the total failure of their human resources, they found that a new power. So obviously, those are the requirements in a way. You have to really, in a sense, the first step is the foundation, obviously, which is to be clear about certain things. Like they read after, after they go over the steps where they go, you've got to be convinced of, what is this? Make clear 3 pertinent ideas: that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism, that God could and would if he were sought. There you go. And so the way that power is sought is through this design for living for us. Yeah, maybe other people have other designs for living, but basically life took us to this design for living and offered it to us. Yeah, maybe through that incomprehensible demoralization we were ready for perhaps there's a better way. And that design for living is the 12 steps and the principles of recovery. Yeah. And, but the important thing of before all the conditions, there's a being convinced of the old employer. So we need to be convinced that the old employer has failed us to be sort of interested or excited in a new employer. Yeah. And so I felt the biggest, one of the biggest pivots in my life, really, in this program, was seeing self as other. It just it brought about so much information that I wasn't seeing. Yeah, just like, when you read a sentence and then you see it in a different way, it opens up a lot of new windows and doors, and a lot more stuff comes in. Well, when I saw self being described, I felt it was other, and then the idea of being free from it became really possible. And it was impossible to try to be free as it. Yeah, so that was the dilemma. I was identified as it, which caused it to be impossible to be free from it, because I wanted to be free as it without knowing it. And I was using these failed faculties to try to get out of the failed faculty, and self can't get out of self. So something happened. I got struck sober. I didn't get sober in AA. I got struck sober, and I stayed sober in LA. Really, in AA, not LA. So yeah, yeah. I got struck sober, but I stayed sober in LA. No, I stayed sober in AA. Yeah. So I really feel that being struck sober wouldn't have lasted a week if I wasn't introduced to a way of life. So it was an amazing combo. Something happened, and then life conspired to have me in my first meeting that night. So thank God, really. So I think you can sort of get a good view of something when you're not in it. And I hope we're all in the solution so that we can look at the problem. You can get down to the exact natures of the wrong, because a lot of times we think our exact nature is the alcoholic, the parasite's exact nature, and that's the mistake of identification. Greed is an expression that can come through us. We're not greedy people, yeah, but greed can come through us. Hate can come through us. Does that make us a hateful person? I don't see it that way. Yeah. I feel like if I'm living in one Petri dish, I express those effects and causes in my conditions and my way of looking at things. When I get moved to a new, like an alkaline Petri dish, I express different stuff. Yeah. I'm not expressing vindictiveness today or closed-mindedness. I'm sort of chilled out and I'm open. Yeah. Not for David to come back to Novato, but in most cases I am open for a lot of stuff. And so, yeah, the readings are great, as we all know. What I feel we can add to it is this idea of parasite or self as something other than us. Yeah, because let's say if there's a part of us that keeps saying it's all of us, then that part of us needs to be sort of strained out a little and see it, and then when it gets balanced and right sized, then it can be part of all of us. Yeah, but this idea that it is all of us is does not produce good effects, obviously. When you're all that you think about and you see yourself as the center of the universe all day, it brings about a lot of mental and emotional illness. Yeah, it's not healthy for us. So, we just admit the situation that I can't change, but I can be changed. And then I submit myself to the program and I get changed. Yeah. I get placed in a position of neutrality instead of trying to make myself become a position of neutrality. The problem will not exist for me, not through my effort, but through the power of grace. Yeah. All of these ways they describe the effects of the program is like the effects aren't caused by us, we're the expression of them, but we're definitely not the cause of them. And that idea needs to be held clearly. Yeah. Once we start taking ourselves to be the cause, the effects change. Yeah. It's just that simple. When we keep a clear idea of what's actually causing the change gets continued. See, change to me is different than growth, because growth would be directed change. Yeah. So my life when I was running around, I was kind of changed my feelings and where I was and my clothes and everything else all day. But it was all chaotic. It had no direction. It wasn't going anywhere. It was just running around like a dog running after its tail, or a cat, as you can see here. Where is it? Oh, I don't know. I lost her. There she is. Yeah. This is directed change, is growth. Yeah. And what do we grow to? We grow towards that sense of being put to use. Yeah, for ourselves and others by this power. Yeah. And in that being put to use, you don't see yourself as the cause, and there's a humility there. And that humility, that anonymity, is one of the keys to the spiritual condition that AA talks about. Yeah. So, yeah. That's why, I love all these readings, but if you see something clear that you're not that which is driving you crazy, you'll hear these readings differently. Yeah. You will. That's how important this message is in a way, because it's fundamental. If the root of the disease is an act of being identified as something that you're not, if you continue in that condition, the problem is living while you're in the solution. Yeah. So it really affects the possibilities that the solution offers. It really does. So instead of like being able to reach 12 feet, you're sort of bonded to an idea of only 8 feet. And so the bondage itself is a very tricky thing. Yeah. You can seem to be free, but you're still bound in a way. Yeah. So thanks, Dave, for the reading. Yeah.
All right, you guys, if you have any questions or would like to share,
Oh, Kurt.
comment, yes,
Kurt for the reading. Yeah.
yes. Well, I was like the retreat. I was like the puppet. Dave was really doing the talking. It's just
Yes.
my lips moving.
Yeah.
So I like that last thing you said. Anonymity has immense spiritual significance. It's in the tradition 12. I like what you said about that. It has a lot of times I'll say, when this kind of happened, I quit reading the book instructively. I started reading it descriptively. I started reading it from a different viewing platform. It was like things started, they're not telling you to do something. They're describing what happens when a condition's met, and then boom, it hits.
Yes.
Any hands? Oh yeah, we got Gary. Go ahead, buddy.
Hey, hi, Paul. Yeah, I wanted to say, I wanted to come to your thing last weekend, but other things happened. So I'm glad it was a success. It looked like you were having fun. Anyway, so I had this thought as you're talking. It's like somehow in a program, I guess you could say, it's like we get confused trying to make a self a better self. and that's like a dead end. And I try to make my acting out less acting out, and I don't know. It feels like it occurs to me that that's not the solution. It's sort of like a temporary fix, but it isn't going to go the distance. So yeah, so I don't know. I appreciate your message and I appreciate that you harp on it, because it seems like I need to hear it over and over again to remember we're not here to create a better self or to refine this self, make this, pig, what is it? Pig's ear into a silk purse or something like that. But to see that, and even as I say this, it sort of just gets stuck in my craw, but see that I'm not that self that is trying to be bettered. And like you say, more will be revealed, and that is my experience. More is revealed, and it's kind of a bumpy road sometimes. It feels like more is revealed, and how did I end up back on this road? I thought, anyway, I'm just appreciating this message, and you're giving it over again, because it seems like I need to hear it over and over again. And I don't know if you wanted to make any comments about that, that sort of urge to improve myself, self-improvement. It doesn't go the distance.
Yes. Yeah, Gary, it's nice to hear from you. Sorry you couldn't come down, but you were here in spirit anyway.
Yeah.
This idea of self-improvement has its value, especially if it needs a lot of improvement. Yeah, so that's going on, but it's nice not to take yourself to be that. Yeah, so there's a loss of interest in self, and it's little plans and designs. Yeah, there's still going to be plans and designs coming from the action figure, maybe to get healthy, work out, stuff like that. That's all fine and dandy. But it's nice when it's seen as a little plan and design, not a huge plan and design. So it's just the loss of interest in self. It's not the loss of interest in maybe getting better or, whatever. Yeah, being a more service. All of these things are cool. It's the excessive weight that's put into things through this identification. Yeah, and I loved how he said it. You lose interest in self, and you start seeing what you can contribute to life, and you lose interest really and he uses the word little, because when you're in self, seemingly your designs and plans are pretty big. Yeah, so he put this little as a nice jab to recognize the inflated size that most of us live in. Yeah, so when that size, it doesn't mean there's no wanting to improve. It's just not it's not commandeered by this idea of self that's going to use the improvement for another agenda unbeknownst to us. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you and I give everything all the meaning it has, a statement from the Course in Miracles, and let's say we're out to lunch and really the parasite is giving everything all the meaning it has, then there's a problem there, yes? Because now the workout, I've got to do it. You know what I mean? You go insane and get addicted to working out or something, yes? Because the you has found another way to expand its role, yeah, to increase its influence. So now it's found another addictive stream, which is working out or my appearance or whatever, yes? Yeah. So, but these drives to make oneself as a body or as a condition in this world better, there's no That's that seems to be automatic in a way, because a lot of our needs are outside our purview. Yes, we have to do something to get that house, to put on some clothes and shit. So I feel mostly this isn't. There can be improving without it being self-improvement. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah. And I feel there's value in improving a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Like here for months, that in the summer the light is longer, and then this light started to going down, and I was having a problem with the lighting for the Zoom, and then I realized I could just get this little thing here and put it in the room, and it solved instead of all the blinds up, everything else. So I was seeking to improve the Zoom environment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't think I was the one that was improving the Zoom environment. It was just an improving of the Zoom environment. Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
in other words, you can travel lighter. Uh, Traveling lighter is expressed by your little plans and designs. Traveling heavy is expressed by your big plans and designs. But plans and designs are part of this experience. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't. Yeah. I mean, the idea of non-action in like spiritual terms is not that you don't do anything. It's when there's doing, there's no act of being identified as the doer, or you're not buying the story that you're the doer. It doesn't mean you stop doing.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
That
this,
comes with the territory.
yeah. So it's got its little subtlety. It doesn't. It's sort of like cutting prosciutto. It's got to be very thin. You can't take a fucking whack and just cut the. Yeah, it's sort of, yeah, shit goes on, but there's been a loss of interest in self, not a loss of interest in the shit that's going on. That can occur too, but you have interest in having a nice day. Yeah,
Mhm.
getting
Mhm.
out in the sun because the sun hasn't been out. So now you want to, yeah. So things seem I don't think they need to be under an extreme review. It's just the natural proclivities of the action figure trying to find, some contentment and joy with a pillow or something. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
the idea is this over largeness, this out of proportion, completely out of ratio. Yeah. To have that for that to be allowed to find a balance. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So where can you imagine? So when the plans and designs stop being big and start being little, you travel lighter. Yeah, like we say in AA, maybe you'll be divorced from the outcome business. Yes, these things. Yeah,
Mhm.
this
Mhm.
is all aspects of traveling lighter here. As what? As this action figure. By realizing, in a sense, you're not the action figure. That's how it travels lighter, really. Yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
But basically, it's not like starving the action figure from its goals. It's actually, there's a being convinced that what's driving the action figure is causing it not to find its goals, not to arrive at its goals. Yeah, there's a sober assessment that the GPS that I've been relying on is unreliable. Yeah,
Yeah.
I need new direction. I need new guidance. Oh, step 6 and 7, that higher power. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't see a lot of things are sort of like the way things go. It's the adding the my to it all that changes everything. Yeah,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
then the extremeness of the head says, "Well, I got to give all those things up." No, you don't. It's just the giving up of the my, really.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then you'll see what interests lie for you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, uh,
Yeah, there's the kind of
get down
balance.
to the exact nature of the situation that's really uh, incredibly influential with whatever comes after, and that shifts, you'll see how profound the solution is. You will, by the relief. Yeah? It's not extreme. It's not like everything has to be cut off. It's not anything like that. That's just self-centeredness, that you're so damn important. You have to be completely, no, Yeah. Yeah, it's just, again, there's humility in there. There's anonymity in there. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's always just, if you have trouble, you ask, well, who is it that's doing this? It's sometimes there's so much emphasis on the doing, whatever the topic of the doing, we miss the point of seeing the subject of the doing, which is the sense of being the doer. Yeah. That is cool to be questioned. Yes. Because some of the doing is just doing, but the idea of being the doer is an agenda. Yeah. By this little parasitical movement self, represented by the word self. Yes. So, yeah.
Yeah, the idea of self-improving self is it's like what you say, self getting out of self. It's like having a wrestling match with myself, and I have to, it'd be like two
Yes.
hands trying to beat one or the other. It's like, oh my God, can you think of a better um, image for traveling heavier than constant battle to improve self and self? So anyway, that's just the way it comes to me. But yeah, that's not, that doesn't work. That's
But
that's
also
that's not the way out.
the idea, Gary, too, is we have meaning about self improvement. Self has a different meaning about self improvement.
Mhm.
It's truly trying to improve itself.
Yeah.
We're under the idea that we're going to be improved, and yet then you see that that person going to the gym all day may be in the throes of an addiction. So before your meaning gets to going to the gym, the parasite is given a meaning to going to the gym. You're just, and because there's a powerlessness in this condition, it's getting its agenda met more than you're getting your agenda met.
That's
So,
good.
yeah, yes. I mean, if you and I give everything all the meaning it has, you better be clear who's the you in that. If it's the self that's giving all the meaning, masquerading as I, then you're going to be very frustrated and confused why your little plans and designs don't work out. Because they may be working out perfectly for the parasite, but they're not working out well for you.
That is recognizable.
Yeah. We're walking around thinking our reason for what's happening is the correct reason. There's a lot of other reasons for what's happening. And those reasons, I think, are overriding what we would call our reasons. And it's very befuddling. It's confusing. We don't understand the intricacies of powerlessness. We don't get it. Yeah. That's why it's important. It says, that's the dilemma. The dilemma is powerlessness. Yeah. The
Yeah.
dilemma is that because we're not clear. We're thinking we have a lot of power all day, and yet the evidence keeps implying something else is going on. Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that stupid belief that I have power to exact change, so I can do that is, and then it may look on certain topics, but others never get budged by any of that will. It's very freaking confusing. Like Bill W. said, he seemed to have willpower about a lot of things except drinking. Yeah. And it was very frustrating because he figured there's evidence I have willpower and I keep applying it on this, but there's no evidence it's working on this topic. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so the dilemma is powerlessness. So I noticed if you don't recognize the powerlessness, you experience powerlessness a lot. Frustration, confusion, you get resentful because people aren't doing what you think they should be doing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yet, but when you're convinced of the dilemma of powerlessness, you start having power. Yeah. In that admit, it's funny, yeah?
Yeah.
But it brings about a lot of power. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks. Thanks,
Yeah.
Paul.
It's trippy because these things it's sort of like we saw the tail of the elephant and then we assume we know the elephant. Yeah. We feel like we know powerlessness, but maybe
Mm.
to see it in your daily affairs, the stubborn assumption that you got some swag, you can do this and
Yeah.
it always and real befuddlement why it's it's not working, so to speak. Yeah. It's a stubborn idea.
It works in some places, but not others. So it's like I had that thought the other day. It's sort of like throw the dog a bone. There's and something you said to help with that. It's sort of like I have a couple of projects around the house, like building a shed out in the back, and this other project with a water tank and stuff. And I let myself go to town with those. It's like great, go and have fun, do your project, improve your property. That's a great thing to do. And it's kind of fun. It's like throwing the ball for the dog. Let the dog have a fun time out there. It as long as it's sort of like that kind of an innocent project that can be accomplished, it was a great thing. Go for it. It's just when that sometimes that goes awry, and I become a self-improvement project on myself. Like you say, the urban renewal project. It's like, God, that one is so relieve me of that project, please.
Yeah. See, sometimes we also have strange ideas of sacrifice is necessary for something. It's insane. You know what I mean? People start getting really suspicious when they like to do something.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. What an insane thing. This isn't martyrdom or
Right.
sacrifice. It's, it's, yeah.
We
Hmm.
got Ruby Rose has got her hand up.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks,
Ruby.
Gary.
Hi.
Hi, Ruby.
Uh, the thing about surrender. Now, I also spent a lot of time in the self-help world and the get it better in the spiritual world and all of that, and in the workplace, and got plaques and all of that. And then drinking and using didn't work anymore, and I found myself on the ground rolling around going, I can't do this. I didn't know what the I was, but I was whooped. And I hear a lot of people talk about they surrender and then they take the wheel back, and then they surrender and they take the wheel back. But if you really surrendered, like if you've ever been in a war and your side isn't winning and they tell you to lay down your weapon, I mean, you lay that thing down and you never look at that thing again. That weapon literally disappears because it's game over. Well, in step 3, when we made a decision to turn our will and our life over to the power, that's what that looked like to me. It was like you lay whatever that shit was down. I didn't know what it was until I heard Paul talk. I knew that I laid it down, But now listening, I don't even know if there was a wheel or a bus, and I'm glad there's not. I don't want to drive the bus. I don't want to be in the bus. I don't want anything to really do with the bus. Because that's what sounds like that trap to me. So the surrender thing is that personally, I don't see where I had the power to surrender from everything that I just said, because it's very confusing to me. Even when I talk, I never really know what's coming out the chute. I just know that surrender is, I don't think I could any more surrender than I could have quit drinking and using. And when they talk about the act of providence, that's the one thing that sits well with me. I kind of run on, you just do the best you can, and that's going to change from day to day. And I learned some things when I was really young where it proves that that works. And I learned some things when I was really, really young, and that proves that that really doesn't work when you're doing that. I love finding out about the selfie, because I knew that that was there. Because I used to say, I feel like I'm beside myself, and I didn't know what that means, but I could hear, I just called it the yacker clackerhead in my head that would not shut up. And the way that you talk, Paul, I'm able to address that. And I don't know what I just said, just wanted to say it. So I'll be back, because it works.
Thanks, Ruby. Yes.
Thanks, Ruby.
I think, there's a gift of surrender, and then that surrender can initiate a lot of being convinced. Yeah. So being convinced is like surrendered. Yeah. It's a reaction from the surrender, and then seeing the same old in a different light. Yeah. And then there's some like a whack-a-mole, and some holes there's no more, the mole doesn't pop up anymore. You just, yeah, you may hear it underneath and everything, but it never really shows itself as much. And the being convinced can be thorough. Yeah, it doesn't come up for debate every 3 months or reconsideration. And it becomes a fundamental, like, it's one of those stones in the archway to freedom, resting upon the keystone, is those being convinced. Yeah. Yeah. And I was thoroughly convinced, that I was not, or am not, managerial quality. It's just very clear. And that I was convinced that something has done for me what I couldn't do for myself. The idea of coming to believe,
Absolutely.
came to believe in the second step. That's true. Yeah. I came to believe. I'm not in the act of coming to believe. I came to believe some fundamental aspects, and then I come to believe a lot of other things. Yeah. But I came to believe some fundamental cornerstones that needed to be changed. Yeah. And I knew I couldn't do it. So let something else. Yeah. So instead of, going on another trek of trying to change myself, I submitted myself to be changed. I didn't do any of it. This is just in hindsight.
No.
But
Right.
there was submitting myself to the program. And I had a great relief. I mean, it was just the relief of, trying to stay oblivious every day with a lot of difficulties, like no money and shit like that, not a place to really live. Yeah, you're not fooling the girls much anymore. So you're just, because my idea of having a car was going out with a girl who had a car. Yeah. My idea of having a place was going out with a girl who had a place. And all of that shit was just running out of gas. But I kept pushing that fucking thing up the hill. And it was such a relief to go to meetings and hear people share about what I had taken to be so unique and personal. Yeah. And having, oh man, it was sort of like having a girdle on your lungs. I finally got, the springs got loose and I could take a breath in. And I didn't give a shit if people had problem with God or not. I could care less. I was getting relief and I didn't give a shit if the thing that was bringing me relief had God as the vanguard or not. I could care less about all that. I was lucky. I didn't get defiant about the differences. I rode the similarities, for a couple of years. And then by the time the head regrouped, it was too late. I had followed the suggestions. I was in the habit of being sober. It was too late. There was too much concrete in the foundation. It couldn't change it anymore. So it adapted best it can with this new reality, which is Paul is sober. Yeah. Waiting for its moment, I'm sure. Yeah. But then, so if you have that wave in your life, man, make haste with it. Yeah. Get those suggestions into action, and then let them become habits, and then you'll be in the habit of being sober. And then when that thing that used to have a lot of sway over you, gets up enough influence to show up, you won't be swayed by it. Yeah. 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 And you'll find it'll have a fundamental weakness you hadn't seen before. Yeah. You'll see it as false evidence. Hallelujah. Yeah. And then maybe, hopefully this could help. Maybe you can see what allowed all this shenanigans to go on so incessantly and so long was an act of being identified as self. The image that the head was presenting as you was the vehicle of your own demise. Yeah. That image was the vehicle of your own demise. Yeah. Wow. How can I get out of self as self? You can't. Hallelujah. Thank God. I have been convinced of that statement. So, yeah. And then I started to realize there was a lot of shit I've been wanting to get out of that I never really knew was I truly in it. Yeah. And then there was a new exit door, which was I was never in that which I wanted to get out. And that exit door finally took me to some spacious areas. Yeah. So the proof is in the pudding, the solution really by the relief it brings about. So, yeah, that's why I love all these readings, but they're not the most important thing for me. My most important thing at these talks is to present this idea because I didn't hear this presentation of this idea. In all the years I was in recovery, I did not hear it. And I believe it's worthy to be heard in our community. So that's basically the little rub I'm motivated by. So I read all these things and they're great. Yet they don't need to be changed or added onto. I want to go to the underneath part. What allowed everything to happen, and what's allowing it to still happen? Yeah, yeah. So, yep. So thanks everyone.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, Ruby.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Ruby.
Welcome, hon.
Any other hands? I don't see any other hands. Dave, you got anything? No, doesn't look like Dave. Yeah, maybe he does. You're muted, bro.
Muted.
Oh, Right. No, I haven't. I was just listening. I was really enjoying the what you said before about the self masquerading as the I, which I found that was something I had not heard before, but I heard it in roundabout fashion. But I thought that was
I didn't hear that.
You said you used the phrase the self masquerading as the I.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It struck me. That was very, very clever. I thought that's. I've heard it said in a roundabout fashion, but not as clear as that. That was, you really gave me something there. So I don't know if you want to riff out on that. I was quite intrigued by that.
Well, one thing, first of all, if the meaning that the self is giving to our life overrides the meaning that we were giving to our life, yeah, then the reaction would be part of the problem, wouldn't it be? When you react to how self sees things, you basically gave a reality to how self sees things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you see it as false evidence, does seeing something as false evidence doesn't demand any action? You just see it as not true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Default self.
You know, there's no more. That's all the investigation you needed. It's false evidence. Why do we have to go to the 30th autopsy? It's just it's false evidence. Yeah. So something is presenting false evidence, and then there's a reaction to that false evidence. And if I'm not clear about the something that's presenting the false evidence, I'm probably going to have a reaction to that false evidence as if it's true. That's how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the product of the interpretation is going to keep eating the interpretation. It's eating the product of it, and it keeps eating the interpretation. Yeah. So false evidence continues to appear real because this idea of self is appearing real. Yes.
Yeah.
Self is not going to have the discrimination between true and false. We do. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I love that. It's yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's just struck me recently that whole, there's a lot of people or a lot of things I've said, there's a lot of enlightened egos, and I just or selves or parasites, I guess, I don't know in what term, but that was good. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks, Dave, and thank you for everything you've done with these things to talk. So,
Thank
who
you.
would have thought, like you were saying when you were here, we were going to end in a month or something.
It was 2 weeks.
So how much did we know? That's what's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no time. Yeah, there's definitely.
It's the assumption that we know most of the shit we don't. It's just the way it goes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
The more
thanks.
it goes on, but thank you. Thanks very much.
All right. Well, if there's no questions, Kurt, we can end it, eh? Early.
Any other hands? Last call. Nope. We can end it, Paul.
All right. Well, it never ends, does it? No. Let's say, David, nice to see you, and keep me abreast of your location.
I will.
Yeah. Mickey, take care of David. Yeah. Put him in intensive care for a while.
Oh.
Mickey will be the nurse. Yes. All right. Take care of him. All right. We got Kristen. Nice to see you, Kristen. Paul from the UK. Is Paul the one that I have completely destroyed by the lack of a shirt going to?
Yes, Paul is the one.
Paul, I have no power over Teespring. I just don't know. I feel bad, and I'll try to remedy it somehow. But they don't listen to me anymore than they listen to you. So we'll see. Yeah, I was going to actually get some printed up from the guy who used to do it, but I don't know if he's still doing it after this. The changes in our lives the last 2 years, because he didn't return a call. So I'm going to try to call him. I used to have shirts made and then put them out that way. Yeah. I'll try. What size are you, Paul?
Extra large.
Extra large? Okay. I'm going to make it, considering I don't have an agenda, I'll make it one of my main points of an agenda.
Ready for summer. Ready for summer, yeah?
Well,
Ready for summer?
Huh?
Ready for summer.
Yeah, ready for summer, exactly. That gives me a lot of time.
2026.
I don't do well under pressure. Deadlines don't work well. All right, thanks. Tommy, yeah. Tommy from Ireland. Nice to not see you, Tommy, as always. Ruby Rose. Pleasure. Thanks for the share, Ruby. Yeah. They're lucky. The people in recovery in Wichita are lucky to have you. Yes. We've got Owen. Owen from Dublin. No, Owen is the 100% Irish. Yeah, I forgot. He's like, was distilled down and down and down at the Guinness factory, the Guinness distillery. And he has been 100% Irish. Woo! That's a strong brew. Nice to see you, Owen. Gary C. There he is. Gary is never going back to the corner. Yeah, he's out. That's good. We got Alex from Hudson Valley, beautiful friend. Yes, she is. We got James Lebowski. Nice to see you, James. Yeah. Roman, got the plants going. Yeah, nice to see you, Roman. Kurt, as always, thank you for that. I like that instead of instructive, descriptive. Yeah, that's a nice little way of saying it. Nanette, there she is. Nice to see you, Nanette. I really see you, Nanette. Yes. We got Connor from Dublin. Nice to see you, Connor. We got Mike P. I'm not going to give his last name. He may have some considerations about that. Authorities may be watching these Zooms for some strange reason. I don't want anything to lead to an arrest. No. So it's Mike P. We got Nina. There she is. Nina was lovely to meet Nina at this last weekend. Very, very. Thank you, Nina. Yeah, for your presence. Walter, the brother from another mother. There he is. Yeah. Who else is here? Oh, Oliver from Berlin. He always has beautiful pictures. I like the gargoyle. That's nice. Rich A from the UK, I think. Chris from Mammoth Lakes. It's Jacob from Seattle. Always nice to see everyone. Hey, let's see if I got everyone.
Gregory,
Yes.
Gregory from Moab.
Oh, Gregory. I didn't see you. I forgot. And I saw my friend, my friend from Moab, a couple of them. There he is. Gregory, nice to see you.
Donka was on
And,
earlier.
I saw Donka's picture. That's great. I need my little umbilical cord to Moab. Yes, important. Yes, I get nourished.
Yes.
I get nourished by Moab. Nice to see you, Gregory.
Good to see you, Paul.
See you, Donka. Yes. Oh, Kerry too just appeared.
Hey,
Nice.
Paul, how are you? Yeah, I just had to get a haircut, Paul.
Oh, good. Hey, I have a shirt for I have a shirt for your cousin. Yeah, I have
My
that
cousin,
one.
it's my friend Daniel. But if
All
it's
right.
too,
Paul?
I'll
take it.
I'll bring it with me when I go to Hawaii.
That's awesome, Paul. Yeah,
It's large, though. I don't know. Yeah.
I think I'm picking you up in Kona.
Oh, great. Yeah, we
I
coming in.
think
Yeah, that'll be
someone
good.
is.
Out. Yeah, it's not happening.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. See you, everyone. Nice to see you. See you. We'll be here Saturday at 1:00. We could have it live at the house now, but we'll definitely have Zoom 1:00 Saturday Pacific time. Yeah. All right. See you guys. Bye.
Hey, buddy.
Paul.
Thanks, Paul.